Namaskar. What is happening in Syria? What is happening in the Middle East? How have knots turned into nets and nets? Game of Thrones and the whole Middle East has got them exploding. I have some sensational developments to report. How things have changed in 48 hours. Do you know Iran is pulling off its diplomats and IRGC commanders from Syria? Bashar is left high and dry. Bashar has lost one more city and Hormuz is up to any time. By the time you see with this video, Hormuz is possibly gone. Not only that, Israel is continuing its offensive against Damascus. One more breaking news. Israel has increased its forces on the Syrian border, what we anticipated. And the breaking news is that the Palestinians will be deported to Syria. Yes, you heard it right. Palestinians will be deported to Syria. Here, Iraqi foreign minister is worried. Here, Israelis are reaching to Elon Musk for hostage release. Trump's envoy is doing wonders in the Middle East. And if I'm moving from Middle East, now Russians are kind of pulling back from Syria. Now is the debacle of Assad on the cards. And here, Iranis are enriching uranium at the fastest pace. Now everything seems to be going hosh-posh. And now 𝗤𝗏𝗍𝗏, the head of HTS, is saying that a new kind of formation will emerge after we defeat Assad. The target is Damascus. And what after Damascus? Resurgence of ISIS? Is it resurgence of Al-Qaeda? Is Islamic State back? What are we looking at? And before Trump takes on the office, what the hell is going to happen? Namaskar, friends. Welcome to this edition of PGurus, and I'm going to be your host and host tonight. And what we are going to talk about, we're going to talk about a lot of things, and it's going to be a jam-packed session, so you have to stay with me till the last. And there are a lot of intertwingling stories. I have to get a lot of things together to form a sketch, and I will exactly take you from where we left and where we are going to be. And tomorrow morning, you have to join me at 10 o'clock. We'll be talking about China, a lot of developments in China, some sensational groundbreaking news we are going to share about China, but that is tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. But if something bigger happens in the Middle East, then there's a change of plan, otherwise China. So let's start. Let's start in the name of Bhagwan Sri Ganesha. Look, what is happening here is, when we met last time, it's one day back. When I say last time, it looks to be air, but it's always a day back or last time. When we met last time, we are talking about, IRGC can put people on the person of the ground. Some Shia militants have been sent there. And of course, Bashar is not happy. Bashar has asked for more people. And IRGC is ready. Bashi said, I can put IRGC on the ground. Mr. Bashar, kindly allow us to do that. When that was said, Donald Trump says, we will put people on the ground. Israelis are worried. Damascus hitting is happening. And Jamah was eliminated. This is where we kind of broadly ended last time. Now, what has changed? You will be surprised to know a couple of things which have happened in the last 24 hours. Hormuz is one more city. When you see this video and when you're going to get an opportunity to see it, by the time Hormuz is lost. There's one more city, 𝗤𝗏𝗍𝗏, which is again lost. This is where it is believed to be the cradle of the revolution. My pronunciation might not be wrong with the Middle Eastern names, where it's believed to be the cradle of the revolution, where the revolution started, and that city is already lost. That's gone, And if you lose Hormuz, that will be the fifth big city which you are losing in a line. And what happens now is the most sensational piece of it. Assad's family is in Russia, right? We know Russians did a bit of bombing here and there, destroyed a few of things of these HTS guys and all, but nothing much happened, right? Or nothing much changed on the ground. And today, we have Jordan and we have Egypt asking Assad, why don't you come over and form a government in exile or a kind of a united government running from Jordan or running from Egypt? So, practically speaking, is game over for Assad. Assad's game is over. He's losing cities after cities after cities, and we don't know yet what happened to the military base wherein rebels were 20 kilometers away from the Russian military base. That's still a suspense. But no news is always good news in geopolitics. So nothing major happened. So no military or kinetic action happened. Otherwise, we would have known. Assad, who was in control a few days back, is getting offers from his neighbors. Why don't you flee to our country? Assad is dying. Assad's regime is getting killed. Now, the most sensational part of it is today there are confirmed reports. You know what? IRGC, Islamic Revolutionary Guard, is pulling off its commanders from Syria. They were the same people 20 or 40 hours, 48 hours back. They were saying we can deploy IRGC with full valor and arms and battle gear and defeat so-called terrorists. Something happened between them and Erdogan, and they put all the blames on US and all the blame on Israel. So suddenly Erdogan and the Islamists and the Sunnis are out of the game. It's the Jews and the Americans are doing all the things. And what happened? After 48 hours, they are pulling their whatever is left there. I told you that there is not a direct IRGC presence, but there were indirect presence through Kurds and others, through Kurd forces and others, which are there. So those Kurd commanders are pulling off, IRGC is pulling back, and even diplomats, their families, and all the assets Iran has in Syria, in Bashar Assad's Syria, Iran is pulling back, as you see this video. Now, could you have imagined this kind of a surprise when we met last time, 24 hours back or 48 hours back? Impossible, and this happening. Iran is pulling out from Syria. Bashar is left high and dry. Russians are not responding much. Russians don't want to talk much once the Donald Trump impact or effect started coming in when he said, I'll put boots on the ground. So, what are Chinese doing? Chinese interests are in shatters. China doesn't know what to do. China is waiting and watching and seeing how do the things turn. Iran pulling back. Russians are here and there. And in the meanwhile, there's an interview which comes of 𝗤𝗏𝗍, Mohammad 𝗤𝗏𝗍𝗏. 𝗤𝗏𝗍 is the head of HTS. Now, 𝗤𝗏𝗍 started his life when he joined Al-Qaeda. And he went to Iraq, he joined Al-Qaeda, and after that his life journey started. In an interview with CNN, which I watched, 𝗤𝗏𝗍 is talking of a couple of things. 𝗤𝗏𝗍 is talking of target is Damascus. We have waited all these years, our target was always Damascus. So, fall of Bashar is imminent. Now, what kind of a governance will you give, Mr. 𝗤𝗏𝗍? You have been part of ISIS, you have been part of Al-Qaeda. He says, look, when you are young, you have ideas, you have affiliations, but when you grow older, your mindset changes. What will be the HTS government look like? What will happen to minorities? Everybody will have these rights, but there'll be institutionalized government. What do you mean by institutionalized government? There'll be institutions which will be set and they will run the government. It's not like a Bashar Assad, a one-man show. There'll be no one-man show. There's institutions will be running the government. It will not be a one-man show. What exactly do you mean by one-man show? Not an autocratic system. But is HTS equipped to handle this kind of a governance? Have you done governance before? And why should people trust you? You are a UN designated terrorist. You are a America designated terrorist. You are a European Union designated terrorist. How do we know you had a heart of mind of what changed within you? He said, look, it's not important what people think of me. It's important what my intentions are. Mr. 𝗤𝗏𝗍𝗏, how do we know what are your intentions? He said, well, that only my actions will tell. Time will not say. So he even hinted at a very strong possibility that HTS might change. He says HTS's objective is to liberate Syria. Once the liberation of Syria is done, HTS might change and a new formation or things can evolve. Hang on. That is where the catch is. If I decode it, what is he saying? Look, in the back end, today Kurds are supporting him, right? But Kurds have a very big problem with Tayyip Erdogan. You have to hold to this hand. Tayyip Erdogan has a problem with Kurds. Now, Kurds are supporting him, HTS. Kurds are not opposing him, right? A substantial part of Syria is under Kurds. And the parts of Syria which produce oil, which are oil rich, where the dollar is under Kurds. America supports Kurds. And there are believed to be a few hundred American Marines which are placed in that area as a guarantee for the safety and security of that area. Now, America tells Kurds you have to support HTS. So America through Kurds is supporting HTS because oil is there and America's arch rival or the villain of the geopolitics, Tayyip Erdogan, is on the other side. Tayyip Erdogan has killed a lot of Kurds. So Erdogan is not happy with his buddy, with his creation HTS, getting support from Quds, and then defeating Assad. But right now, they're all focused on defeating Assad. But there's an uneasy calm between HTS, that is Golani's faction, and Quds. So we have to wait and watch how this thing emerges. But what, Bashar had a kind of an arrangement with Quds. They were not disturbing each other too much. But Bashar could never give Quds any political power. So what do Quds need? Quds want to be in the business. They need political power. Now, has America negotiated with Turkey, or has anybody negotiated with Golani that when Golani talks of a new formation, Mohammad Abu Ghulani talks of a new formation, this new formation will be run by institutions. It will not be autocracy. So does the new formation include Kurds? If new formation includes Kurds, who controls the oil? Where will the American influence go? What will happen to the American Marines which are placed there? Maybe a few hundred of them. There's an American system which runs out of that place. What will happen to that? Now, what will happen to Tayyip Erdogan? Tayyip Erdogan wants Syria. They want HTS to be in the control. Sunni militias, they don't want Kurds because he has a problem with them. And who controls the oil? There's a question mark here. What does Mohammad Abu Ghulani need by the new formation? So is new formation and group of all these people who are affiliated with him, which means ISIS, which means Al-Qaeda, which means Khorasan, which means Islamic State? Friends, are we talking here that through these small knots, a net has been made, and in that net we are talking of the resurgence of Islamic State through Syria? Because a lot of people believe that HTS has very orthodox Islamic ways and Sharia ways of governing. When you talk of the minorities, when you talk of the other people, Syria has a sizable Christian population. When you talk of that, then what happens to their rights? Golani says, oh, everybody will have rights, but it will be determined in institutions. Who are these institutions? Who is this new formation? And he says, even if push comes to shove, HTS will not be there and a new formation will come in. What I am feeling now, I am feeling the problem which was successfully dismantled by Donald Trump and the world put together was of ISIS and the Islamic State and the Caliphate. I somehow feel that the Dracula has risen from the ashes. Caliphate or the Islamic State or whatever new name they might have, they are coming back. And because, as he was asked, that is today, Iran is not able to give people and arms to Bashar, and Russians are not really helping. Is it that you're one? He says, no, we have been trained at a very high caliber, very specialized training. Now the question is, who trained them? So we had big mass trainings together. Who trained these people? Did Americans train them? Did Israelis train them? Who trained these people? What does Golani mean when he refers that we had this big, large-scale mass training of our people? There's a bit of ambiguity there, and there's a lot of confusion there. Who trained these people? He says, because we are coordinated, we are controlled, we could take on Bashar, and Bashar was already dead. It's just he was hanging on to power because some people in Russia and some people in Iran thought they could hold on to power through Bashar, and so they wanted Bashar to be there. Now, Bashar is retrieving, Syrian army is retrieving, but there's a claim by the Syrian army as well. Syrian army says we did a counteroffensive. We have eliminated a few hundred terrorists. They call them terrorists, right? So Shias of the Syrian army call Sunnis of the HTS as terrorists. And HTS, Sunnis call Bashar's Shias as terrorists. So it's a bit of a confusion. Who's a terrorist and who's a kafir? So there's a bit of a confusion here. Now with all these things happening, they say we have killed a few terrorists. But as we see, that ground is being receded more and more by Bashar's army. So the days of Bashar Assad are gone. Meanwhile, a lot of people are caught in, I'll come to that in a later. Meanwhile, with these developments happening, Israel has said we have moved a lot of troops to the Syrian border. Because we don't know who's going to take control of the Syria. And what we appear this Mohammad Abu Ghulani to be, is he the real one, or he will change his colors once he has more control on the province? So Israel has moved its forces to the Syrian border, which was quite expected. Israel is getting its arsenal ready for a possible front which might open through that border. So that is something which we are quite ready of. And the news that which has come in just now, there's a possibility Israel will deport Palestinians to Syria. Yes, you heard me right. There's a very strong buzz that Israel will deport all the Palestinians to Syria. Because Syria today is no man's land. With developments happening in Syria, in the meanwhile, it's a game of shadow boxing which is going on. You know who is going to meet? Iranian foreign minister, Turkish foreign minister, and Russian foreign minister. Syrians won't be there. So you have Russians who support Assad, you have Iran who supports Assad, and you have Turkish who supports HTS. So these all guys are going to meet and decide the eventual strategy. And Iran has already said it's the Jews and the Christians who are doing it, who have nothing to do with it. And they're really pulling up their assets. What is the compulsion of Iran? Why is Iran pulling its assets? Doesn't Iran want to get stuck in the war? How will Iran lose face because they're giving up a Shia country? The challenge with Iran is they are enriching uranium at a very, very fast pace, unbelievable fast pace. So the way at the speed the Iran is heading to the nuclear bomb is phenomenal. They are phenomenally heading to the nuclear bomb. What will happen in this meeting, which is supposed to happen today? We don't know. Do we expect any outcome? No. Could anything change on the ground? Maybe before that, a lot of things changed. And let's remember, 𝗣𝗚𝗍𝗍𝗍 met 𝗤𝗨 in Austria. What was the deal there? Hostages. Correct? The Trump's guy was there and you were trying to get the hostages back before Trump takes over the office. Meanwhile, Israeli president has roped in Elon Musk, hoping that Elon Musk will help negotiate a deal wherein these hostages can be brought back. And so this 𝗣𝗚𝗍𝗍𝗍, 𝗤𝗨, Trump's guy, that is a one angle. Here, Elon Musk. And some kind of arrangement is done through Elon Musk, can we get the hostages back? That is also being contemplated upon. Iran is enriching the uranium. Israel has moved its reserves. Palestinians will be deported to Syria. I have told you this. With all these things happening, there are some more interesting developments which are coming from the Middle East. Israel is keeping its options open. Israel keeps on bombing places inside Damascus, inside Lebanon, where they are claiming to eliminate strategic assets. Right? Russia is watching the things carefully. Russians have already moved their people from Lebanon. They moved all their embassy personnel around from Lebanon. We don't have any update on what has Russia done on Syria. Have they moved their people from Syria or not? We don't have update on that. But most likely, if Iran has done, Russia will be following the suit. Or will Russia hold with Bashar, amidst Iran living in? That is something we have to be seen. But the chances are quite less that the Russia will hold with Bashar. So this is how things are slowly changing here. And in the meanwhile, Quds have also signaled some kind of a discomfort with HTS. Now, once they have signaled the discomfort with HTS, they are asking America to give them more weapons, to give them more support, so that if these HTS tomorrow turns on them, today they are helping HTS, but what if tomorrow HTS turns on them and wants to take the Kurdish territory because that's where the oil is? So now the Americans have to come here and do some magic and give them some weapons or deploy some more men there as a guarantee of their land. If that happens, Tayyip Erdogan is not happy because he doesn't want them to be in the game. They are their biggest enemies. So with Tayyip Erdogan not happy about it, the Turkish foreign minister is very vocal about it, that look guys, this is not going to happen and this may not happen and this is what we don't want to do. So in the meanwhile, Saudis are also playing wait and watch, because Saudis are waiting which way do the things steam up. Remember, Saudis send the message to Bashar to Israel that Bashar wants help. If you guys are willing, you can help Bashar, and Bashar can possibly get himself liberated from these terrorists. But Israel represented, we don't care. I mean, it's okay. Whomever kills whichever body, then whoever is left will handle them. So Israel said, we are not getting into the game, let's keep away. Meanwhile, Iraq's foreign minister is the new person who has joined the game. What does Iraq's foreign minister want? Iraq's foreign minister is now worried. Now he calls HTS terrorists. And if you remember a couple of days back or 2 days back, this Iraq's prime minister was approached by Iran. And they said Iran will do everything to help Iran facilitate Syria. Now that part was just 48 hours back. Now today what is happening? They are saying these people are terrorists, HTS is terrorists, and we are worried that these HTS terrorists might invade Iraq. Now the challenge in Iraq is there are a lot of American bases, there are a lot of American assets. Qataris are busy trying to get a truce done in Gaza. Egypt and Jordan have activated saying, Bashar Assad, why don't you come to our place and form a government in exile? And let's see how it happens. Trump is waiting and watching. His priority is Gaza. Lebanon bombardment continues. And a front in Syria is opened. So the question here is, will Israel be able to deport these Palestinians to Syria or not? That is something which is to be contemplated. If that happens, then is there a possible Israeli hand in doing what HTS has done? Who trained HTS? That's the question I asked you. The $1 million question, who trained HTS? Because HTS says we are trained to a different level. We are professionally trained. Who trained professionally HTS? The HTS which has been failing for last 30, 40 years, how do they become an invincible force? Yes, one Russian angle is there and one Iranian angle is there. And earlier Iran had sent those useless Shia militants. Now again they pulled them back. Iran is pulling back every asset. By the way, Hezbollah told them that if you want any help to Bashar Assad, we can send a few guys in a supervisory role. You can imagine Hezbollah being the supervisor, God save you. I mean, that is what the people have been talking. We can send a few people in the supervisory role. One more important development. With all these things happening, and we covered, I think, a couple of days back that how the undersea cables are getting cut in the Baltic Sea. With all these things happening, what does Germany report? Germany reports there's a lot of Chinese and there's a lot of Russian presence in the Baltic Sea. There are unusual Russian vessels in the Baltic Sea, and which is a security concern. And there have been a lot of incidents where the small skirmishes happened or were about to happen. They were called up and all that. So the German defense minister has raised a concern on that. And by December 2024, the agreement between Russia, Gazprom, and Europe will be over. So will Europe get fuel in 2024 December or not? Will they get gas in 2024 December or not? We don't know, because the agreement is going to be over. There's one interesting aspect here. Trump's priority is peace. He is not talking into it. Hezbollah is again doing what it is good at, but leaving Iran. Hezbollah is still in Lebanon. And IDF is still not letting those people to come and settle in the villages which are touching Israel. So IDF still wants to maintain that buffer zone, and nobody wants to be in those villages which are touching Israel. In the meanwhile, Americans are waiting and watching. Americans have moved a lot of arsenal to the Middle East. They moved a lot of arsenal now to the China from Middle East. So when this all is happening, UAE's foreign minister was here a couple of days back and he met Prime Minister Modi. Obviously, we're talking about trade and all. Even the problems in the Middle East cropped up. So UAE is also trying to use India's influence in whichever way it can to see how its interests can be met. So Saudis are also waiting and watching, seeing how the things are met. Jordan and Egypt were not in the picture. Jordan and Egypt have got into the picture. And there's a possibility that even 𝗤𝗏𝗍's brigade might be taken over by an altogether different brigade. So if you look at the sum total of what I'm trying to put together for you, it's really what the title says today, not Sunet's Game of Thrones. Meanwhile, in Saudi also, there's some resentment which is building against MBS, because MBS is not taking that pro-Islamist line and pro-those Wahhabis line. And in Saudi, the religious affairs is maintained by the Wahhab family, and the Sauds maintain all the business. Everybody is waiting for Trump to come and take office, but I hate to say this, but before Trump comes and takes the office, there are a lot of things which might be in a complete disarray. There might be a lot of things which might be completely shattered. So we don't know how this is all going to work up, how this is all going to kind of really come up. Meanwhile, if I quickly want to touch base on China, there are a lot of things which are happening in China, which is getting a bigger and bigger concern for Donald Trump. By the way, there's a port in Peru which got commissioned with Chinese money. As you know, China has this policy of debt trap diplomacy. I'll build you infrastructure, and then that infrastructure will be mortgaged to me. And if you can't pay the money, I'll get a right to on your land. That is what the game debt trap diplomacy of China is all about. Now, this port of Peru got commissioned with the Chinese money, and what Donald Trump did, it imposed 271% duty of anything which is shipped out of that port. So suddenly, the Chinese model of putting infrastructure and by the virtue of infrastructure getting people debt trapped has backfired, because anything which is funded by Chinese money will have a 271% tariff. Not for all, but for Peru port, this is already implemented by Trump. So in due course of time, that this Trump's new regime will be all about taxes, will be all about tariffs. There's a new tariff war which is going to start. But if you go back to the Islamic world, there are a lot of things don't matter. Most of the Islamic countries are poor and they want to be like that because they don't want to change to anything new. This is what they want, and this is what they believe the things are going to be. And remember, when the societies are poor, these Islamic leaders, mullahs and Maulvis, they get more stranglehold on the society. So being poor is not a bad thing it's not a bad thing in the Islamic world. Now from there, there are a couple of developments which are also happening in around us. Nepal has signed the framework of the BRI. There's a bit of contention. A lot of things will happen in Nepal. There's a Nepali Congress angle, how they're going to take it. Now, quite a few developments which are surprisingly happening in Pakistan, which I want to bring to your notice, what is happening in Pakistan and how Pakistan is going to do. First of all, the shopkeepers and the small business of Pakistan will have to pay double the tax. Their taxes have been doubled. The people who are already sulking, who are already dying, or getting crumbled by the weight of loans and debts and how indebted the economy is. Now, those small shopkeepers, let's say they're paying a tax of 15,000 rupees, now they have to pay a tax of 30,000 rupees, which is double. With their failing fortunes, this kind of a money is kind of backbreaking for them, and they say, look, there's no way we are going to pay this money. There's nothing we can do, and there's nothing we can do this money. So they're kind of calling for a civil disobedience in Pakistan. So that is one important news of Pakistan, what is going to happen. Meanwhile, Iran is also hinting at, possibility of almost announcing, which one of the Khomeini's aide has said that within 24 hours we can have a nuclear bomb ready. And it is on record, Donald Trump saying we'll never let Iran have a nuclear bomb. So Iran moving out from Syria, is it something which happened between Iran's foreign minister, Russian foreign minister and 𝗖𝗍𝘅 Erdogan? Or is it something which happened between Iran's foreign minister and 𝗖𝗍𝘅 Erdogan? What happened? Something happened after that, because the Jewish and the American angle came in. Russia is also treading with caution, but when America said that we'll kind of confront you. Pakistan, I told you that the taxes are being increased. Things are getting bad to worse in Pakistan. And really, it's getting difficult to even pay the government salaries, government servers their salary. Political instability in Pakistan continues. Every day you have a few more people getting killed. But that is how Pakistan works, no big deal. Meanwhile, the important aspect which I wanted to talk to you is about Masood Azhar. Indian Ministry of External Affairs has given a strong protest, has registered a strong protest with Pakistan that Masood Azhar is live and kicking. He's a UN designated terrorist. He's a terrorist who's everywhere, which means that all these years what Pakistan has been doing is all lying, is talking crap, that we have no idea where the Masood Azhar is, but it is all pretty much there, and this man is there, and no action is being taken against him. We are told you that 𝗏𝗍𝘗𝘁 also lives in somewhere in Rawalpindi, and he has disguised in a new name and a new identity, but is pretty much living in Rawalpindi. So 𝗏𝗏𝗍𝘗 is there, Masood Azhar is there, and things are really heating up in Pakistan. Political class is absent from Pakistan. Nobody in politics seems to have any power to control any things. The things with IMF are going tougher by the day, and things with Iran of Pakistan are also going tougher by the day. And Pakistan hopes for a bigger war to break in the region so that they can make some money. But there is more and more mounting evidence that Pakistani Taliban or Pakistani insurgents, they are active in the war with HTS. Again, both are Sunnis fighting Shias, that is fighting Bashar Assad in Syria. Now the question is, what is Pakistan's interest in Syria? What does Pakistan intend to do in Syria? That is another question. Who has approved that? And what is the role of ISI in that? That is another thing which is kind of shaping up. But if you look at a sum total of the countries, you have problem in Syria, you have problem in Egypt, you have problem in Jordan, you have problem in Iraq, you have problem in Iraq. You have some way Kuwait and Bahrain are a little bit safe. UAE is getting involved into the thing. Saudis have to take a lot of call into this. And then so this is what broadly the Middle East is. Right. So if you look at the complete Middle East is again getting on a boil. Syria is becoming the new flashpoint. What I always say, Middle East is a whirlpool of undercurrents where the undercurrents don't settle. Now with this new twist of Iran kind of enriching its uranium at the fastest pace, I'm very sure this will meet the eye of the Americans, and because this is finally reported by the International Atomic Energy, which has finally reported this is happening. So we have been talking for it about quite some while. So this is happening. So Americans have to do what they have to do now. With Biden still in the fray, with Biden still calling shots. So there are two kinds of Americans here. One are Trump's representatives and one is still the Secretary of State, who is still there, is Anthony Blinken's. So with Biden's men still running into the Middle East and trying to run their own agendas, with Trump's men in the Middle East trying to run their own agendas, with Iran's own agenda, with Israel's own agenda, with Saudi's own agenda, with Jordan's, Egypt's, and terrorists have their own agenda, 𝗤𝗏ani has own agenda, Bashar has his own agenda. Germans are looking for their side of the cake, and Russia has its own pieces of the economics and all put together. So if you look at the complete picture is turned to be more and more confusing. It's getting more and more volatile, and it is getting volatile to an extent that it can erupt anytime. And if things erupt before Trump comes to the office, it will be very, very difficult to control it. Now the question you will ask me, how can the things erupt? You have to just do one big attack on Americans anywhere. One big attack on American base, anything like that can erupt the things. One big attack on Israeli civilians can erupt the things. Another assassination attempt on Benjamin Netanyahu can escalate the things. So if any of these three things happen, the things are going to escalate. And what we are gathering that Hezbollah is again regrouping. Hezbollah is trying to get its cadres back into the shape. And so is the Islamic resistance in the West Bank. They are again trying to get their cadres back in shape. There is no dearth of men which can be recruited in these regions. Please be 101% assured you can find as many men as you want who want to be recruited in these organizations. So it's a classical dilemma. And even if you get rid of 𝗤𝗏ani, there's somebody else who will come. If he may not come now, he may come after 5 years, 10 years, there'll be another. His son will come, his grandson will come, his brother will come, some other person will come, and they will justify what they are doing. So this war in Middle East is still perpetuity. These undercurrents never settle. People come, people go, new set of people come again. The problems of the region remain pretty much the same, which are not going to go anywhere. Israel is worried about the developments in Syria because they see that even if Israelis are helping HTS, which I don't think the case is, but how do you trust HTS? Because today you might not have IRGC coming, you might have the HTS doing the job for IRGC, or there might be a situation after some time the HTS will let IRGC come in all of a sudden, wherein Israelis are very convinced, oh, all is good, we have finally secured. You might, how much time does it take to come? Or Iran will give you the way to, Iraq will give the HTS, Iran will give IRGC the way to come in. And let me also remind you, there are still arms factories which are helping Hezbollah to fight Israel are still pretty much working in Syria. Bashar is literally doing nothing. And can the Lebanese army really dismantle Hezbollah? Can really that stop them from regrouping and all? Lebanese army is a defunct army. It's not a practically working army. Lebanese economy is not there to support that kind of formation. Who will pay the money? Trump's idea is I want to pull US troops from everywhere and put them in US and safeguard the American interests here. Then we'll see what next will happen. Khomeini knows his time is running out before Trump comes to power. Benjamin Netanyahu knows he has to hold on tight till the Trump comes to power. And even in India, we have a lot of problems in Bangladesh who are again voting for the Trump to come to the power. Pakistan is also waiting and watching the situation. How do the things turn up from Pakistan, right? Egypt, Jordan, you need Saudis. Everybody is waiting for one man to come to the power, is Trump. And how does Trump kind of do the things? So if everybody is patient and everybody waits for those 45, 50 days, I think a lot of problems can be averted. But if somebody tries to jump the gun and somebody tries to push the things to the next level, this is their best chance. After 45 days, they will never get this chance. So what prevails? Good sense or somebody's, gun-goism that let me go and push the envelope right now and let me try to skyrocket the things. That is what we all have to be prepared for. And one actor, which I'm completely forgetting right now, which I should talk about, is the Houthis. Houthis are still active. Houthis have not given up. And let me tell you, sir, all the ammunition, major ammunition of Houthis is from China. It is now established. People's Republic of China has given maximum ammunition to Houthis. Luckily, Kim has moved on the side of Russia, which is still a good news for the world. But Chinese ammunition with Houthis is definitely a problem. And Xi Jinping getting more and more desperate is definitely a problem. So let's see how the things shape up. Let's see how the world kind of copes with this. There's a lot of interesting paradigms which are changing. And hopefully by morning, we should be able to do China. But if something happens in the Middle East, we might kind of go to Middle East, because action can any day break out in Middle East. So the question you will ask me, can Bashar be assassinated? Yes. Will Bashar flee Syria? Yes. Can he go to Russia? I think Bashar will go to Russia. He will not go to Jordan. He will not go to Egypt. He will prefer to go to Russia with Putin. So, and because his family is already there. So this is how the complex game of thrones is getting played. And this is how conflicting talks are working on a system. When a car moves, you have the torque in the front direction that gives, engine rotates the accelerator. So axles rotate the wheel. But here torques are in all directions. That is why this car is stuck. This is going backward, forward, right, left, because everybody has a conflicting interest now. So when there are multiple forces working on a system with all conflicting interests, that is where the system can fail. That is where the things can go out of control. And your two sets of American diplomats in the Middle East, that is the important aspect I want. Anthony Blinken is still there. And believe it or not, Donald Lu was still in India doing, I don't know, doing what? Who wants to talk to you, Mr. Lu? But that's a different issue. So you have Anthony Blinken's there, you have Trump's guys are there, they're trying to do their thing, they are trying to do their thing. The classical dilemma is, if I am somebody, whom do I listen to? Whom do I talk to? Who are the right set of guys? Can Anthony Blinken still pull a rabbit out of a hat? I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. So, utter confusion, utter chaos, and things moving at a very fast pace. Let me end by saying, I'm sure about one thing. Syria is going to fall. Bashar Assad may live, may be assassinated, may flee to Jordan, might flee to Russia or to Egypt or Jordan. It doesn't matter. What if Syria falls? Who will take on the Syria? The people who will take on the Syria, how do we know it's not the Caliphate's first step? What will happen to Quds? What will happen to the ideology of 𝗤𝗏𝗏𝗏? He says it is completely subject to change and new formation can take over. Who is behind this? Doesn't look to be the Americans, doesn't look to be the Israelis. Who is behind this? Who wants what? How is Erdogan suddenly so bold? By the way, Erdogan has praised the rebels, calling them they have done a fantastic work, when his counterpart in Iran calls them terrorists. So the people who are going to meet each other, I'm praising these set of people, you guys have done a great job. And the person I'm going to say, hey, these all are terrorists. So who is a rebel? Who is a terrorist? Who is a jihadi? Who is a Wahhabi? Who is a Salafi? Who is a Shia? Who is a Ahmadiyya? Who is a Bohra? Who is what? What is your problem with me? What is my problem with you? What did your grandfather tell my grandfather? And why did your great-grandfather hit my great-grandmother? These are the things which are erupting in Middle East. Everybody is calling each other terrorist. Everybody is saying, I'm fighting for Islam. Everybody is saying that, look, this is what I'm going to do. And with these enrichments happening at a fast pace, and with the kind of arsenal which is still in the Middle East, we don't know what we are heading to. We don't know where we are heading to. And everybody is calling everybody in the next person the terrorists. And even terrorists have name. Kafir terrorists is a new name and terminology which has been given. If you ask me, we as India need to be very much on the guard. because our chance of getting pulled directly, indirectly into this conflict are increasing by the day. And because eventually, if this conflict escalates, there are a lot of countries which unwillingly will get pulled into it and will unwillingly would have to kind of do what we have to do. Things around us, Bangladesh is heating up, Pakistan is heating up, China, we already know, Myanmar, then this Maldives, and even things in, pretty much on the other side also, we have a lot of challenges. A lot of stuff is coming into India from Sri Lanka through these fishing boats. So Sri Lanka is also kind of a frontier opening, and when Khalistan, already a frontier which is opened up, things are equally challenging for us. Then they don't look easy, and we are being provoked to get into a war, which we are not getting right now. But everything has a limit. I mean, let's say how much can we hold back the temptation on the need of it. That is something to be contemplated. But this is what I have for you right now. Tomorrow, 10 o'clock about China, and a lot of things we're going to talk about China. Now, friends, my request is here. Today, Sree sir is not here. You have to like, share, and subscribe to the video. You have to like our channel, and you have to make sure this video goes viral. What I need from you is a like. You have to share the video, and you have to subscribe to our channel. And on that note, I hope you have got the gist of the complex forces and talks that are at work, and how they are all, working against each other. And let's see how they're working. I mean, how long it cannot explode. That is the question we are talking about now. On that note, I want to take your leave. I'm very hopeful that you are going to like, share, and subscribe and help this particular video to go viral, because today Sree sir is not here, so my responsibility is double. On that note, Bharat Mata ki jai, Vande Mataram, and Har 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 Mahadev.